Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Granbury will now come to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, April the 14th, Granbury City Hall, City Council Chambers. The first item on the agenda tonight is public comments on agenda items that are non-public hearing agenda items. Do we have anybody here that wants to speak on anything that is a non-public hearing agenda item? If not, we'll move on to C on our agenda, the consent agenda. It's approval of the regular meeting minutes from March the 10th, 2025. Do I have any additions, changes, deletions, commission members? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve them as presented.
Chair, I move to approve as presented.
Motion by Mr. Hayes to approve the minutes as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the D public hearings. D1, request of Bill and Alice Hilton to designate the Keith Brock home as a local historic landmark. That has been asked to be postponed to our regular P&Z meeting on May the 12th, 2025. Do I have a motion for that to be postponed?
Chair, I move to table until the May 12th meeting.
Have a motion to table or continue that to the May 12th meeting by Mr. Hayes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is D2, public hearing. Consider request of Hunter Coleman to change the future land use map from retail office to industrial business park and to change the zoning from interim holding to industrial zoning district. The property is located at 5301 U.S. Highway 377. Cody?
Good evening, Ms. Chair and Commission. So this is located at 5301 U.S. Highway 377. It's 5 acres right on the corner of U.S. Highway 377 and M&M Road. The proposed use is for changing this from interim holding to industrial to allow for HUD manufactured homes, sales, and showroom floors. And like I said, the current zoning is IH. And the future land use shows it as retail office, and they would be changing that to industrial business park. And the considerations for the zoning change out of the zoning ordinance, whether the use permitted proposed change will be appropriate in the immediate area concerned and the relationship use of the general area and the city as a whole. The zoning change would allow for future development on the property that does not align with the area as it develops. And this is a long one. I'll let y'all read through this without me reading it out to y'all. And number 3, the amount of vacant land currently classified for similar development in the vicinity and elsewhere in the city, and any special circumstances that may make a substantial part of the such vacant land unavailable for development. And this change represents a small increase in the overall supply of industrial land in the city. And the recent rate at which land is being developed in the same zoning classification as the request, particularly in the vicinity of the proposed change. The properties in the area along east U.S. Highway 377 are currently zoned IH, and this would set the bar for future zoning in the area if changed. April 3rd, city staff mailed out 2 public notices to all the property owners within 200 feet on the municipal tax roll and 200 feet of the subject property. Notice was also published in the Hood County newspaper on March 29th as required by state law. And as of today, we have 0 letters in favor or against. The staff recommends denial of the future land use plan change from retail office to industrial business, and staff recommends denial of the zoning change from interim holding to industrial. And the voting options for tonight: recommend approval of the future land use change, or recommend denial of the future land use map change. And then also recommend approval of the zoning change or recommend denial of the zoning change.
Thank you, Cody. I'll open the public hearing. Is the applicant here? And if so, would you like to speak? Please state your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Hunter Coleman. I'm with CRB Asset Management, representing the property owner. And I really don't have any summary other than we applied for a special use permit. Our ultimate goal is to basically have a model manufactured home, 3 to 4 units, just various size options for a temporary in nature. They wouldn't be permanently affixed to the property, but we were denied that special use permit, so this is our next avenue to try to accomplish that. We don't plan on this being a long-term thing. It's simply, the next 3 to 5 years potentially of, modeling manufactured homes for right now a property in Brownwood that we're developing, and then some, more rural locations. And it wouldn't be a full-blown manufactured home showroom. Kind of up the road from us, there's an Oak Creek, probably about a mile down the road east on 377. We'd simply be showing 3 to 4 different size options and some finish outs in the short to near future. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commission members for the applicant? If so, proceed. I'll have a question. Is the building that's currently there, would that be incorporated? I mean, would that be used into this business, or would it continue as the Premier Homes?
It would continue as the Premier Homes, and we also have an accounting firm that's leasing some space there. Some of the employees that work in the Premier Homes may oversee some of the manufactured home sales, but it would be somewhat independent of itself. But we probably cover 25 to 30% of the property there, so we have quite a bit of excess land that we'd be looking to, set up a few model homes, just for the purpose of kind of showing those and selling those. But they would be somewhat independent of each other.
This is Cody. Is that part of what you guys that was going to incorporate all of that, or is that
Right? Yeah, we knew that that's what it was going to incorporate, but it did not require anything else other than an industrial zoning change.
Okay.
Right. That's the only land use that allows for the show and sales of manufactured homes.
Correct.
Currently with the city zoning ordinance, that's why we're applying for that.
Commission members, any questions for the applicant? Mr. Haves?
A question for staff. Cody, since we've been working on the new comprehensive plan and updating it for many months now, and we've all looked at this corridor and decided it should be retail, office, commercial, and this would be an industrial zoning. Well, the display of the homes may be more in the flavor of commercial. As I understand, there's no way to limit what industrial use goes in there once the zoning is done. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct. Unless there are several industrial zoning allowed uses that might require a SUP before they could move forward, but everything else that is industrial allowed use could go in here at this property.
Thank you, Cody.
Yes, sir.
So he mentioned that they applied for an SUP. Was that just internal?
I believe that was what the original step was taken.
I mean, within staff is what I meant.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing we could do with the SUP on interim holding, so we had to deny that application
Okay.
and then move to a zoning change instead of a SUP.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't remember an SUP coming, so that's why I was asking. Okay. Any other questions for staff or the applicant? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, sir. And first of all, I entertain a motion on the proposed future land use map change from retail office to industrial business park.
Chair, I move to recommend denial of the future land use map change.
I have a motion by Mr. Haves to recommend denial of the future land use map change. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So do we go on to the zoning since the
Yes, ma'am.
the map was denied? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So now I entertain a motion, please, on the request to change the zoning from interim holding to industrial zoning district, please.
Chair, I'll move to recommend denial of the zoning change.
I have a motion by Mr. Hafe to recommend denial of the zoning change requested. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Mr. Class. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is consider request D3, consider request of Anthony Chapak to change the zoning from interim holding to heavy commercial zoning district. The property is located at 301 Kings Plaza. Cody?
So this little strip of property that you can see highlighted in the green teal color was property left over from the Plaza Road acquisition of Lot 14 right there to the north of that. People Helping People are purchasing this once the plat and the zoning are both approved and go through. So what they're doing is they're combining that last little portion of Lot 14 into their Lot 15 and zoning it from interim holding to heavy commercial to match the rest of the current property at 301 Kings Plaza. And they did the heavy commercial zoning for the People Helping People building at 301 in 2022. And the future land use shows it as commercial as well. In the planning and zoning considerations, planning and zoning shall consider the following factors: whether the use is permitted by the proposed change will be appropriate in the immediate area concerned in the relationship of the uses of the general area and the city as a whole. The zoning would allow for a larger area for existing and future use, depending on how they want to use that and expand. Whether the proposed change is in accord with any existing or proposed plans for providing public schools, streets, water supply, sanitary sewers, and other utilities to the area, and shall note the findings. Infrastructure is currently in place, and the change will not result in any additional school demand because the property is already improved. The amount of vacant land currently classified for similar development in the vicinity and elsewhere in the city, and special circumstances which may make a substantial part of such vacant land unavailable for development. This change represents a small increase in the overall supply of heavy commercial zone land in the city. And the recent rate which land is being developed in the same zoning classification as the request, particularly in the vicinity of the proposed change, properties in the area have been established and would be changed from IH to HC if they did have a zoning change. How other areas designated for similar development will be or unlikely to be affected by the proposed amendment if approved, and whether such designation for other areas should be modified also. This proposal would slightly increase the land of heavy commercial zoning in the city, and 6 and 7 are for y'all. On April 3rd, 2025, city staff mailed out 23 public notices to all property owners within 200 feet and on the municipal tax roll within 200 feet of the subject property. And notice was published in the March 29th, 2025 newspaper. At this time, we have 0 letters in favor or against. And staff recommends approval of the zoning change request. And the voting options for tonight: recommend approval of the zoning change or recommend denial of the zoning change.
Thank you, Cody. I open the public hearing, and is the applicant here or applicant's representative? If you'd like to speak, Mr. Hewitt.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Nan Hewlett with the with 1115 Cliff Swallow Drive, Granbury, Texas 76048. And me and Anton Cepak are up here just to answer any questions that might come about on this. And I will say that we plan on moving our food distribution into that area that we have presently right across the street. So once we get that completed, then that's why the purpose for going from interim holding to the commercial holding. So, like I say, we're here for answer any questions, if any questions that you guys may have. Thank you.
Any questions for the applicants or representative? Commission members, any questions for staff? Thank you, Mr. Hewitt. I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion on the zoning request, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning change request.
I have a motion by Mr. Moore to approve the zoning request as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Haves. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on agenda is E, discussion items, monthly plat approval report. Cody?
So since the last time we saw y'all, we've had 6 plats administratively approved. The first one was Granbury Commerce Center Phase 1B. It was a replat located at 2211 Ruth Smith Drive, changing the lot sizes of 2 lots, making one larger one shrink down and just a little bit and give some of that land to a smaller lot. It was approved March 7th with no conditions. And then number 2, Saratoga Phase 2B, an amending plat located at 105 and 101 Seabiscuit Court, 200 and 204 Affirmed Court. And the purpose for this was to correct some easements that were drawn up wrong, and they had to change some lot lines around in accordance with those easements. And this one was approved on March 7th as well. Number 3, Kings Plaza Edition, a replat located at 301 Kings Plaza. We just heard the zoning change for this one. Adding the leftover portion from Lot 14 that was taken for right-of-way and combining it with Lot 15 for people helping people. This was approved April 1st and was conditionally approved pending the zoning. Number 4, Sandstone Estates Phase 3B was an amending plat also to shift around some lot lines to keep sanitary sewer and water lines and a drainage easement all out of a residential lot and move it into a common property lot for the HOA so that the future property owners wouldn't have to maintain those easements or worry about them on their property. Number 5 was the 7-Eleven edition. It was a preliminary plat located at what is now addressed as 2101 West US Highway 377. This is for the future 7-Eleven that's going to be on the hard corner of Pirate Drive and 377. This was approved on April 3rd of 2025. And lastly, Lakeview Landing, a final plat located at 101 West US 377 for the development of 9 commercial lots, including a hotel, restaurants, retail, and 109 residential lots, including apartments, townhomes, and single-family lots. This was approved on April 1st of 2025. And that is it for plats.
Any questions, commission members, on any of that? All right, thank you, Cody. We'll go on to discussion item E2, 2023 Comprehensive Plan Update, Progress Report, and Presentation of Draft Chapters, including Land Use and Housing and Thoroughfare Map.
So
Okay.
we just
Kimber?
have thank you, ma'am. We just have a progress report for you folks. You went through several meetings last year leading up to a draft that was presented in December and then a joint work session with the City Council in January. Since that time, staff worked with the City Council to review that in detail, and the consultant has presented a draft for staff to take a look at and make sure that the suggested changes have been incorporated, and that's what we're doing right now is taking that look. And just wanted to report out for you that the project is still in motion, and we hope to come back to you very soon with a final draft copy for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Kira. This is moving on to orientation and training workshop for the commission members by City Attorney Jeremy Sorelli. Yeah.
Good evening. What do you want from me? We're done. All right. All right. I've been making the rounds, the annual rounds to different boards, different commissions, just trying to catch people up on everything. You guys do a pretty good job. I'm sure you've all read Chapter 211, which, you know, kind of lays out for you what the requirements of the job are, what you're looking to do. Again, just kind of a quick reminder, you fall under the purview of the council. The city charter and also all of the council's policies, subject to open meetings. I've asked this of all of the groups. How many of you have had applicants come up to you and want to talk to you beforehand about I got an application. You guys are going to hear this in a couple of weeks or a couple of months or something. Anybody? Right? I see a couple of heads shaking. Yeah. How do you handle that? Why not? Isn't that exactly why you could talk about it? Because you don't have a quorum? No. Stop agreeing with me. Yeah, right. That's the way they handle it. It's not, maybe quite as significant for you guys as it would be for maybe the Zoning Board of Adjustment, who's quasi-judiciary, right? And they're held to a little bit different standard than the rest of the boards and commissions. But yeah, that's the way you handle it. Look, I appreciate it. Thanks. We'll review it when we meet. We have a quorum. We'll run it through all of our tests and do all the analysis and see if any neighbors complain and all of that stuff. And that's the way you want to handle it, because what happens is if Jerry talks to this guy about it, and then he decides, well, I'm going to go talk to Rita Kay about it, and the next thing you know, they've talked to 3 or 4 people, you've created a walking quorum, and then you can go to jail for a year for, I don't think any of you want to do that, right? It's a misdemeanor. So yeah, the best thing to do is, sorry, I can't talk to you, but I've actually had people tell me, well, yeah, we had a conversation. They told me what they wanted to do. I'm like, stop talking. don't do that, right? Open records too, that's a big thing. If you guys are passing emails back and forth, even emails between you and the staff, those are all subject to open records. You are the keeper of those records. A lot of people say, well, the city secretary, traditionally, that's where they are, and, whatever. Well, recent case law has come down and said, no, if you sit on a board or commission, you may not have a granbury.org email, but you have an email where you're receiving email while conducting city business, and you are the keeper of those. And if you destroy those records, go to prison, right? You're right. So keep up with those things. These what is it Kira likes to call? I call them chainmail, daisy chains, right? And that happens a lot. Chris and I, it happens with us all the time. We have a little different attorney-client relationship, right? But he may be on an email with someone back and forth about a development agreement, working out some details, and then he'll just send it to me and send me the whole chain of everything they said and said, hey, here's where we're at. Can you work something up for us? Or sometimes I'm talking to someone, I send it over, I'm like, it's good legal. Your turn. Look at the policy of it and decide if that's what you guys want to do or not, right? And so you have all these, could be trouble, right? So if you're talking to people, make sure you're not sending out those chains with that, because you could, again, create a walking quorum. I'm only going to tell you guys this because I brought it up to ZBA because they had a similar type situation, right? And it's a very minor, stupid, but my OCD nitpickiness always comes out, right? It's like, that's not what you say, right? So you guys tabled an item to the next meeting. That doesn't exist. When you table an item, you either take it back up at this meeting, or you take it back up at the next meeting, or it's dead. And I understand the intent of what you wanted to do, but what if, and this has happened, some of you have been witness to this. What happens if at the next meeting, it's next week, because some huge project comes in and we need to convene a meeting as quickly as possible. We put out 3 days notice tomorrow and we have a meeting on Friday. And you didn't take that item up, and then you illegally take it up at the next meeting thinking, well, we took it up at the next. No, you took it up at your next regularly scheduled meeting, but you didn't take it up at the next meeting.
Didn't we say we were going to see it, we were going to take it up in May?
So you would.
May 12th, 2025?
Right. You gave a date, but you didn't say we postpone definitely. And that's the language that, so go look at the council policies, because the council says all of our boards and commissions are going to be subject to open meetings and comply with the same policies we do. And they're actually laid out in the council policies. And this is the only reason I bring it up. Again, it's a minor nitpicky thing. The real point of this is to remind you guys to go all look at the council policies. Those are online. And look at some of those certain things in there and the processes by which some of those things are handled, just so we're all kind of on the same page. Is it a huge deal? No, it's not. It's really just my way to get your attention a little bit, because if I just said go look at council policies, y'all all be like, yeah, whatever, we look at them before. But if I bring up a specific
we have had about 3 of those
instance.
over the last 3 months. So the language should be that we want to postpone it, a motion to postpone it indefinitely?
Postpone it definitely
Oh,
to
definitely.
that said date. If you don't ever want to deal with it again, postpone it indefinitely and let it go. Yeah. So we don't really have tabling of items within the council's policies, right? But again, I only bring that up to get your attention, to remind you, go look at the policies that they have laid out, how to conduct the meetings, how they want it conducted, and things like that. Questions from you guys? No? Well, and if you do, and you guys have questions, you can always reach out to staff, and they can tell you, come back and deal with this. By the way, great job. Just my own personal opinion, and I hear Chris and I both hear the council talk about this all the time. But thanks for not messing up the future land use plan earlier with that. Whatever it was they were wanting to put in out there, so that was really good. They're very serious about that and want to continue to have uniformity within Granbury. So that was a good decision on that one. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jeremy. So there being no further business for the meeting tonight, this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all for coming.